Hey everybody, welcome to Eco 2040 Macroeconomics, the online edition. My name is Ash Morgan, and I'm going to be the one talking to you throughout the course. And so, the purpose of this course outline is just to walk you through the syllabus and give you a feel of the setup of the course. Obviously, a little bit different because it's online, and so I just wanted to make sure that you were comfortable with that and that you know what to expect as we move through the semester. The course here As You Learn is all set up for you. So I quickly just scroll down, you see that each topic is split up into its individual piece of material, typically followed with a quiz. And once we get far enough down, then you'll see the exams start to happen. On the right hand side, the upcoming events, that's when you can keep track on the quizzes and the exams and when things are opening and closing. So, for example, your first quiz on the intro, alternatives, limits, and choices will open on Thursday at 8 a.m. and you have until 11:45 on the same day to complete it. So all quizzes will open at 8 o'clock in the morning on the day that they're due, and they'll be closed, quarter to midnight on the same day. That just gives you the chance to take the quiz when is most convenient for you. Some people prefer to take quizzes in the morning or the evening, so you have that opportunity. I'll come back to this in a minute. Just if I quickly look at the syllabus. It looks just like any syllabus really, but let's just take a quick look. We have my details here, obviously being an online course. The best way to get in touch with me is via email. So my email address is right here. I'm located physically in Rayleigh Hall. I guess technically it's now called Peacock Hall. So that's where the econ department is, room 3094. I'll let you read the course description and the course objectives when you get a moment. The pertinent stuff you have in terms of textbook, actually two textbooks. I'll explain that a little bit, but basically the one that's available in the bookstore and the rental system is this one, ManQ, which is probably the one you use for micro. Usually econ textbooks have micro in the beginning and the macro towards the end. So a lot of what we'll be working on you can take from that textbook. You'll see there's a second textbook listed here. There are some topics in this course that I think are better discussed in this second text, Macroeconomics by McConnell and Brew and Flynn. However, I don't really want you to have to buy a second text. So what I've done is, if I go back here to As You Learn, when it's relevant, for example here, we get to a chapter on consumer spending and investment spending. I think that's a chapter that's better discussed in this other text. And so what I've done is I have just copied the chapter from McConnell and Brew from that book and posted it under that section. And so when this opens up, you'll see here is the chapter that I've copied. So you don't have to buy that second text. It's sitting there waiting for you. So anytime that I think the other textbook is useful, I just copied that chapter and posted it in the relevant place on your As You Learn site. And so again, I go back here, you see it happens, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times where you got a chapter from the second text and it's just copied and it's uploaded and waiting for you. And so if you go back to the course outline, this second text here, again, you don't have to get it. It's just I use it sometimes, and it's available to you on the As You Learn site. In terms of grading information, there are 4 exams. Each are worth 25 percentage points. However, I let you drop one, so I will take your best 3 of the 4, which means the most you can get in exams are 75%. Because of that, I don't do makeup exams. If you miss an exam for any reason, then you'll get a 0, and you'll be asked to take the other 3. So that 0 just won't count for you, and your score will be taken from the other 3. Those are just typical midterm exams. Exam 1, 2, and 3 are typical midterms, but the final, exam 4, is a comprehensive exam. And so it might be the case that you do exam 1, 2, 3, and you're happy at that point with how you've done in the course, so you don't actually have to take the final. You'll know at that point what grade you will get if you choose not to take the final. And if you're happy with that, then you can just not take the final, get a 0. Of course, that will be dropped, and you'll get the grade that you would have got. And so that's an option too if you are comfortable with how you've done in the 3 midterm exams. There are a number of quizzes as we go forward. Basically, every piece of material has a quiz. So there are 14 quizzes, of course, all online. They are multiple choice format, so the exams are multiple choice. You'll see in the exams you'll get about 40 questions. They are timed, and so you have a time constraint, but the quizzes are designed to, as we go forward through each piece of material, just to stop, take a few multiple choice questions just to make sure that you're okay with the material before we move on to taking the exam. And so there are 14 quizzes. Again, I let you drop 1, so only 13 count. And so collectively, they're worth 25 percentage points. So each quiz is worth just less than 2 points. So no quiz individually is going to really hurt your grade, but if you miss a number of quizzes, then you're just losing points that you otherwise could have got, and that's going to affect your overall grade. So your task as we move forward is just to make sure that every time you review a piece of material that you take the quiz too. And so again, I'm going to show you in the As You Learn site that for example, here's the topic on GDP, and there's the quiz straight after. And then when you move on to the next class, the topic on economic growth, and there's the quiz straight after. So each piece of material has an associated quiz. There are a couple of instances. For example, if I go here to the aggregate expenditures model, that's a pretty big chapter. That's an important chapter for us. And so what I've done is I've split the video lecture into 2 components. And so on one class you'll review the first video lecture, the next class the second one, and then you'll take the quiz. So there are some quizzes that sort of span 2 different lectures. The same is true with the aggregate demand, aggregate supply diagram. So right here again, initially when you look at aggregate demand supply, there's no quiz there. But the next class, when you finish that piece of material, then the quiz shows up. But for all the other ones, the quiz is straight after the piece of material. The grading scale's right there. That's going to help you decide whether or not you need to take the final. And so again, come the end of April, when you've taken all the 3 midterms and the 14 quizzes, you'll have a score out of 100. and let's say you get 85. So you look here and say, okay, 85 is worth a B. That's telling you if you don't take the final, you'll get a B. You could take the final and try and beat one of your midterm scores and maybe move that up to a B+. But if you're happy with the B, then you don't have to do that, and that would be your grade. So the grading scale is there to help you understand at the time what grade you'll get if you choose not to take the final. And of course also what grade you'll get if you take the final before you see it posted. But that's the grading scale that I'll be using. Maybe one of the differences between an online syllabus and a regular syllabus is that I list here each topic covered and what we're calling the students' learning objectives. And so if you like, you can take time to review this before each piece of material. You'll see that the delivery method and the assessment method are always the same. So the delivery method is always a streamed video, and the assessment is always a quiz. So as you go through, you'll see that, for example, the first couple of topics are just reviews from what you would have done in your micro class. And so, for example, here with demand and supply, I expect that you can understand the law of demand, what shifts the demand curve, the law of supply, what shifts the supply curve, and how we derive the market equilibrium with terms of prices and equilibrium quantities, and why we see changes in prices and quantities in a market. And so that video is designed to, reintroduce you to that topic, and those are the important learning objectives that you should be taking from that topic. So again, you can just spend some time going through all of these when it's appropriate. And so there's quite a lot of information there. As you'll see, there are a number of pieces of material that we'll be covering, and so just take your time to go through and make sure that you're comfortable with those student learning objectives. The other thing really is that I want to try and be clear on what is due when. So I have a schedule listed, and so what should be today for you, day 1, Tuesday, January the 17th, first day of class, is when you should be reviewing this particular video lecture talking about the course outline. That's your only real task for today. No quiz obviously associated with that. And the next class, January the 19th, on Thursday, is when you'll start the topic on limits, alternatives, and choices. And so when you go down, this is just explaining to you on what day you should be reviewing what piece of material. It also highlights when the exams are, and it also highlights how these modes are sort of broken up. And so that's just for you to keep track as we move forwards, that we understand each day and each week of the semester what you should be doing. And you see here, you get down to the very end where we have exam 3, and April the 27th, and the final exam again is that one where you have a choice about whether or not to take that. I do also put a class in for review, and so in between a class and an exam, I'll break it up and give you the chance to review the slides for that particular exam. And finally, really, I've got all the quiz dates lined up, which should correspond with when you are reviewing the relevant piece of material. So again, the first piece of material on limits and choices on Thursday, January the 19th, that's when quiz 1 would be open and closing. And so if you go back to As You Learn and go to the upcoming events, there you can see Thursday, January the 19th, quiz 1. You can open it up, and this will be available to you again between 8 o'clock in the morning and 11:45 p.m. on that day. And so again, there's different ways of keeping track on what due when, there's simply here in the course outline, or if you just keep abreast of the upcoming events, that's always tells you what's due when. So you can go to the calendar and you can see highlighted when there are things due, and it tells you, okay, on the 31st of January, that's quiz 4. And so there's different ways for you to make sure that you're understanding of what is due when. And so so my sort of rule is I don't open and close or reopen quizzes. So your task is to make sure that you understand when things are opening and closing, because again, this will be one of a number of courses you're taking, and you just got to be clear that okay, this Thursday you have a quiz and you need to take it between 8 o'clock and 11:45. If you know you're working that evening, then you know you got to take that in the morning. And so I've got way too many students to be answering emails about, can you open up the quiz again? I missed it because of work or whatever the reason is. Just my general rule is I'm not going to open and close quizzes, which is one of the reasons why I let you drop one. So you have this one quiz option to, you can miss one and it's not going to count against you, because I'll just say, all right, just drop that one. And so just make sure that you are keeping tabs on the timeline. That's what's important, because you're not physically coming to classroom, and I'm not going to be standing there reminding you. It's up to you to remind yourself. Okay, and so my advice is just spend a bit of time looking at this, get familiar with it. You'll see that again each topic starts with the video lecture. So when you click it, you'll see, I haven't updated my flash drive, but you'll see that the video lecture will be there, and then you can go in and just review it. And the benefit, I think, of doing the online class is that you can review it as many times as you like. You don't have to sit there and just listen once. So if you review it and you're not too sure, then you can go back and review it again. And then, of course, go to the textbook and make sure that everything makes sense for you. Okay, got any problems, anything, send me an email. Good luck with the course, and just again try your best to keep tabs on dates. Very important, when the quizzes are, but especially when the exams are, because of course that's where the big points are. Okay, all right, thank you.